It's something that you don't ever get used to because you see something new every day. It's different when an infant comes in or a teenager or someone who's 103. You still treat them all like they're family.
It's a peaceful feeling. It gives me comfort to know, to believe that there is something. They're in a better place. They're going to somewhere better, and they're being taken care of, and they're watching over me. In my heart, I believe that.
Whether it's an afterlife of heaven or hell, or I don't know for sure, but I do believe there's a spiritual aspect to us.
But I know it's not easy. When you lose someone, you're angry. You think it's not fair. Some people say, how could God do this to me? And that's part of the grieving process, and it's natural. But I feel like there is a bigger purpose out there for us, and this isn't the end. A lot of people are like, how can you do that? How can you, they just can't imagine it.
It's not just a job. I feel that it's my calling. If you have a calling, it's something a little different, and you want to push yourself. You want to make everything better.
My husband's very freaked out by it. He's just now getting comfortable even coming up here to see me.
It's a different life. It's not a scary, eerie life that people would think it is. Me and my two sisters grew up traveling in vans a lot with my parents as they would go pick up a deceased from out of state or something like that. So we were all just in the back of the van, a lot of times riding on a gurney, just all three of us kids sitting there riding along. And it was nothing for us to ride with a couple of deceased.
The deceased aren't going to hurt you. It's not morbid. It's not weird. It's not gross. I know it does take a special person. I mean, it's not just sitting with the family and being at the funeral. You do have to handle the body. I have to be on call and go out in the night and pick up by myself. But it's a way of helping people. It's a different type of help.
Definitely a rewarding industry to be in, and helping families and truly serving them during their worst time of their lives.
At an early age, I started experiencing losses. My grandmother, she was a very big part of my life. She helped raise me. My mom was a teenager when she got pregnant. So as a child, there's a lot of questions you have, and dealing with the loss of a loved one is very difficult. Kids need the closure just as much as adults do.
The very first one that you'll remember and always remember is the first child that you've done. And I still remember it to this day. It's what helps drive me and makes me want to do better at my job, is because of that particular service, wanting to do that for that little girl who basically had nothing at the time. And it was my job to make her feel pretty and special and make her nice for family and friends that didn't get to see her along the way.
The first child I worked on was a 2-year-old. I was terrified to see her. Terrified, because I didn't know what to expect. I had trouble sleeping the night before because I knew it was coming.
It's never an easy thing, because you're not supposed to lose your kids first. When they're 2 or 3 or, something like that, that's when it becomes more difficult.
One of the first ones that I worked, I remember it was a military service. It was pretty touching. And then we get out to the cemetery and they do the 21-gun salute and play taps. I think I started crying harder than the family did.
You'll see me when they get emotional, I get emotional. We try not to show it as much in front of them. But, we go behind the scenes, still have our moments too.
So my grandparents were a very, very big role in my life. When a grandparent has passed away, and when I see a grandchild get up and talk about their grandparent and how much they meant to them, it gets me every time. It really does.
One of the things that we cannot do as a funeral director is have a bad day. We may have a bad day, but I can't show that.
I am here for the families. I'm here for them on literally the worst day of their life. And even though it's going to be a tough day and it's going to be a bad experience, my hopes is that when they look back, They can say mom or dad or whoever looked nice. They didn't look sick anymore.
So it's a hard thing. It's something that you kind of have to put back in your mind to say, I understand what we have to do this to help the family.
It's always an uneasy feeling when you walk the family in for the first time to see them for the first time because you never know the reaction you're going to get. I just look at the picture and I try to envision them as a person and, that being like my mom or my grandma. You want them to look their best, and that's a whole nother job in itself.
It's not an easy thing for people to walk into that room and sit down and meet with me and talk about caskets and, putting somebody they loved into the ground.
There is a financial side to all of this, and having to come up with methods for them to be able to take care of their loved one and it be affordable for them. We can do pretty much anything anyone would want within their budget. Now, we can't just give away the farm. There is a common misconception that funerals are so expensive, no matter what you do, it's going to cost you a fortune. When no, there's options, there's ways that we can work with you, and let us try. Don't come in thinking, oh, well, they're going to gouge me on everything. Let us try to work with you.
And if I can get them through that experience, that's what joy that I get out of it. As a mortician, to do the embalming and things that I do, I treat it as like that's my mom or that's my dad or that's my own child, or I treat everybody just like they're my specific family, and then hopes that kind of helps me to be able to push through the sad times, the hard times, and then be able to help them.
It takes a very open mind and non-judgmental mind because everyone has a different outlook on death, and everyone has a different outlook on where you go when you die. Religion comes into play a lot, and there's sometimes people are very religious and sometimes they're not religious at all. So you cannot be judgmental. You have to be very adaptive to their personality and what they want. You cannot put your personal views on any of it, ever.
I lay awake a lot at night thinking, okay, did I make sure this was right? Did I make sure this was done correctly? Did I do this? Did I do that? And it goes over me. I mean, I'll drive home at night and call one of the other ones here, hey, did we do this? Did we do that? Just because I want to make sure that at the end of the day, I can look back and say I did everything for this family that I possibly could.
A lot of people wouldn't understand that. A lot of times we get one day off a week, if we even get a day off.
Daytime, nighttime, we're constantly going. We miss ball games. We miss stuff of our families. We don't take a lot of vacations. We don't have a lot of days off. We, even when we are off, our families still call us on our cell phones.
We are normal people. We have kids going to baseball practice, and we're out there enjoying life just as much as everyone else.
I'm a typical mom and wife. I have my daily chores. When I get home, I cook dinner and do laundry, make sure I still have one child at home, so I make sure he has everything he needs. I don't have a lot of weekends off, but when I do have a weekend off, I do like mainly spending time with my family.
My boys are my life, and we do as much as we can together and play ball together, and I just like getting outside.
And I love being in the farm. I feed my animals, and I kind of vent to them. So they've heard an earful, a lot of times out there. But being outdoors, it does make me feel more relaxed and more at ease because there's no city, there's no rush, there's just stars in the sky and animal sound. Being out with nature, it helps me to get through the next day. I make the sacrifice just because I feel that it's my calling. And it's a hard phrase for people to understand is it's not just a job.
So I feel like at the end of the day that I've actually accomplished something good. It's a different type of satisfaction that you get in helping people in this way.
I love what I do. I've been doing it a long time, and I love helping families. It makes me feel good to help someone else. I care about my job. I care about the deceased we get in. I care about the families that come through that door, and I don't treat them any different than I would my own family, and that's important to me.
I don't do any of it for me. I do it to make the world better in my eyes. I do it to make these families heal, to make these families not hurt as bad. If I can take some of your pain and put it onto me, I'm fine with that.
We could not do this job if we didn't have a good support system within each other. It's nice to be able to talk to someone who knows what you're going through. Just like my husband, sometimes when he comes home after working a service and he may have a little bit of makeup on his shirt or something, I just always ask, okay, which old lady hugged you today, you know? So, I mean, you have to keep a sense of humor, and you have to realize that, hey, you just got to be there. And you got to be there for the families. You have to be there for each other.
It's a hard balance, I will tell you that, just because of the demand that the funeral home and everything has on the directors, to be here 24/7. It does take a lot from my family, but I try to give them 100% when I am there. And I hope that they do understand along the way that Dad is doing something good for not only us, but the people that I'm helping here, the community.
I get so many comments from families and things like that of just thanking me so much for a nice service, or saying, want to give a special thanks to Patricia because she was really a friend when I needed a friend and was just really there for me and made it a unique experience. So that's important to me. That's why I do this.
Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to say to myself, I have done all I can for those particular people and help them get through a time that they may or may not have gotten through as easily as they could have if I wasn't there.
And that's just what I want, mainly. Closure for the family and helping them through that process. And it's not the end. I mean, they're always going to be remembered and they're always going to be with you. But you can put different aspects in with the family of memories and things that we offer that will go on forever.
That's the reason why I do it, is to make sure that these families do send off their loved ones with the highest honors, with the respect they deserve.
I think it's a respect thing for their loved one to celebrate their life. No matter if what they were or how they were in life, I still think everyone deserves that. It's probably just those kids running around in here. Mm-hmm.
Is there another vibe with the kids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't see them. They play around.
You should record this. This could be like...